Hi, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. It is 5 o'clock. Other people will join us as we are going through the webinar, but I want to be mindful of everybody's time. My name is Deidre Thomas. I'm the Director of Grants, and I'm here with with my team members, Yedi Guevara, who is our Grants Manager, Kennedy Hayes and Brittany Edwards, who are our grants coordinators. They'll be available to answer questions throughout the presentation in the chat box. Otherwise, throughout the presentation, everyone should remain muted, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to stop my video and we'll proceed. So the agenda for the presentation today, we'll go over Houston Arts Alliance and the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs overview. We'll discuss eligibility. We'll dive into what Let Creativity Happen Digital is. And then we'll also talk through ideas that we found interesting in terms of digital presentations online, and then we will have an opportunity for questions and answers. So Houston Arts Alliance, we are a local arts agency, and our principal work is to implement the city's vision, values, and goals for its arts grant making and civic art investments. This work is conducted through a contract with the City of Houston, which is overseen by the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. And then we also execute privately funded special projects to meet the needs of our arts community, such as disaster preparedness, research on the state of the arts, and temporary public art projects. So I want to just state that the City of Houston recommitted its investments in arts and culture. They passed a new contract at the end of last year that is for the next 5, potentially 7 years in supporting its arts and cultural investments. And Houston Arts Alliance is the sole contractor to administer these dollars. Additionally, I mentioned that we do work with privately funded special projects, and one of those is disaster preparedness. And so they've been very active in response to COVID-19. And essentially this department was formed after Hurricane Harvey, and they've been working in order to help artists and arts organizations become more resilient and be better prepared for the next disaster. Our manager, Lauren Hanley, manages this program. And so I just want to give you a few tips and just kind of reshare things that they have, resources that have been provided through the disaster services team. So what we know is that private funds won't be able to meet all of our community needs. And there are federal assistance programs and then local initiatives in order to help artists and arts organizations navigate these hard times. We recommend that everyone who to apply for unemployment, even if you know you'll be rejected, the application is important, and it's a step that freelancers should take before they're recognized and invited into the unemployment program. And so we have a guide for artists and arts workers for unemployment. Most recently, there was a new multi-million-dollar artist relief fund created by a collection of national organizations that fund artists. and there's $10 million available in the fund, and they will provide $5,000 grants to 100 artists each week. And that fund is available right now. So if you are an individual, you should apply as soon as possible. Houston Arts Alliance has also launched its own artist relief fund to help everyone meet their most basic needs. It's for artists, individual artists and arts workers, so arts administrators. And you can access the application to that fund as well. If you operate a small business, which includes nonprofits, we also encourage you all to apply for relief funds via your bank or the Small Business Administration, and this comes through the Federal CARES Act. And then lastly, you should also check out 211. It provides 100 sources for support that you can access for your most basic needs. So if you have, if you're looking for additional information, our disaster services team constantly updates the website as more information becomes available. They're working on evaluating and fully understanding the CARES Act to make sure we're well equipped to help organizations and individuals apply for what is available to them. And all of those updates are on ready.haatx.com. So definitely visit the site. And then we're also aggressively sending out email communication. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, be sure to do so. So I just wanted to share a little bit about how we are tackling our response to COVID-19. We'll get back into the Let Creativity Happen presentation. So our work with the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, they oversee the contract and our facilitation of the hotel occupancy tax dollars that fund city arts programs. Additionally, they develop policies and initiatives that expand access to arts and culture, cultural programs in the community, helping us to attract visitors and leverage private investments. They also help internal city departments and offices realize their cultural projects and advance their goals. And then they work to implement the city arts and cultural plan. So they look at that plan and figure out what strategies and initiatives we should take on as an organization and as a department in the mayor's office. Additionally, they work to facilitate temporary art projects, art donations to the city collection, and community murals and special projects. So our funding source is the hotel occupancy tax. So basically when someone books a hotel room, they pay a tax, and the percentage of that tax is provided to arts and cultural funding to municipalities. It's a state mandate. The state allows use of 19.3% of those funds. The city of Houston uses the full amount that is allowable to fund arts and culture in the city of Houston. And it has a restricted use, in that it's meant to promote arts and cultural tourism, conventions in the hotel industry through events that are open to residents and visitors to Houston. So pivoting just a little bit, I want to talk about Let Creativity Happen, the general program, and a few highlights. So it was actually launched in December 2017, with our first deadline being in January 2018. Since then, we've facilitated 8 application rounds, and we've had over 428 applicants. 138 of those applicants have been awarded grants. And I want to say at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, we created the Let Creativity Happen 8x8 presentations, which provided an opportunity for the grant recipients to share the outcomes of their creative risk-taking and innovative approach to their artistic practice. And those presentations were held at Rec Room, Aurora Picture Show, and the Printing Museum. We had a total of 29 grant recipients last year present at the Let Creativity Happen 8x8. These are a few examples of projects that were funded last year. So in the top right-hand corner, Sarah Darrow, she did Radical Objects Now, which was an exploration of postmodern design by 6 emerging artists. It was an exhibit that traveled and it went to a variety of postmodern buildings in Houston. VG Studio is the one in the bottom right corner, which is Victoria Goldstein. And she created a state-of-the-art digital fabrication bench. It was a concrete and a wooden bench that had a Wi-Fi signal and that could be placed in various places throughout the public. And then Levy Olivia Nolan, her piece was, it's called This Is Not a Piece of Paper, But My Arm. And it was a series of socially engaged gestures and cement works created to act as visual interventions. They were meant to act as objects and points of contemplation in order to mend, heal, and remember monumental figures and moments of the past. So the whole program and the whole idea behind it was really about innovation and creative risk and kind of stretching your artistic practice. And these are just a few examples of the projects that took place in the past. So with the Let Creativity Happen Digital, in looking at the kind of challenging times that we're in and everyone, you know, is working to navigate the economic hardships of COVID, and with the mandate for social distancing, MoCA and Houston Arts Alliance looked at re-engineering the launch of Let Creativity Happen and putting a digital spin on it that allowed people to reimagine what it means to gather and create experiences that, arts and cultural experiences that others can enjoy safely. And so this was kind of the impetus behind Let Creativity Happen Digital. So just thinking about how do we continue to keep audiences engaged? How do we amplify the very talented artists in our city? And how do we support organizations who commission artists for work? And all of that essentially taking place online. To be clear, the grant is not meant to support or supplement funding that you might already be receiving for projects that are already in progress. This is, so if you're funded by a 2020 grant or a 2019 grant that has an extension, it's meant for new ideas. And I'll give the next slide is all about the timeline. So the grant application is open now. It opened today, and it closes on May 18th at 12 p.m. In between now and May 18th, we will essentially have one deadline, an initial deadline, where we'll evaluate all of the grant applications that were received by April 17th and notify those applicants of whether they've been awarded or not on May 8th. And then the second and final deadline is Monday, May 18th at 12 p.m. And we will notify those applicants by June 12th. And this is a quick deployment of grants. It's a quicker kind of timeline than we've facilitated before. And what we're looking for is activities that take place between May 1st and July 31st of this year. And so we're also looking for the applicants to be able to quickly deploy their ideas out into the public and launch those digital experiences and events. So the application is up now. It's on Submittable. All of your applications and subsequent materials like work samples and eligibility documents will be required to be submitted on each deadline date. So once you have hit submit, you will not be able or not be allowed to return to the application to change any information. The grants team cannot update or change any information. So I encourage you to review it multiple times before you submit, and to make sure you've checked all of the boxes and got all of your materials submitted for whatever deadline you are submitting your application. The grants, you can request up to $2,500 in city-funded support. We have outlined different presentation methods, one of which is content resharing. You may only request up to $1,000 in city-funded support if you are just resharing content, and we'll talk more about what that is later on in the presentation. So all of our programs have the same eligibility criteria. You are required to have residents within the city of Houston or headquarters in the city of Houston if you're an organization, and this is within the city of Houston limits. There's a tool for you to be able to check that, which is linked in the application. Applicant organizations or its fiscal sponsor must be tax exempt with a 501c3 designation under the IRS code. So you must have a federal exemption if you are an organization. Fiscal sponsorship is not required if you're an individual, but if you do have it, then that organization must meet all eligibility criteria, including being tax exempt. For individuals, you have to be 18 years or older, and then we will be looking to verify that there is a public presentation component. In this case, they have to all be digital experiences. When you're providing your proof of residency, we will accept documents, like official documents such as the utility or phone bill, lease agreements, your state identification or driver's license, insurance documents, and regardless if you are an organization or an individual, you must provide proof of residency. So the application will require your eligibility verification documents. You will complete the online application form. We will verify that you have a public presentation that is digital. You'll include work samples, so just evidence of past work that you've completed. We actually won't be asking for a W-9 and ACH form unless you've been awarded, but that'll allow us to issue payment. And then the attestation is just a checklist outlining these three things, or the things that you see on the screen, and stating that you know you live within the city of Houston. If you're an individual, you are 18 years or older, that you have a public presentation. So just kind of reiterating and reminding you to make sure that you are filling out this criteria and completing the application before you actually sign off and submit the application. So all of our grant programs require public presentation. To reiterate, you know, it's all about arts and cultural tourism to the region. And so the activities must be arts and cultural. They have to be open and accessible to the general public. They must take place within the city of Houston. So obviously, if this was a physical presentation, it would be required to be within the city of Houston limits. With it being online, regardless, all of our applicants have to be residents or organizations that are headquartered within the city of Houston limits. And then the events can be ticketed. Specifically for digital, there are 4 ways or methods in which that are approved for online presentation for these grants. So the first one is live streaming. So broadcasting a performance or discussion through a live video to an audience over the internet. Virtual art tours, a simulation of an existing location, usually composed of sequence of videos or still images, a full video of a location, and it should include a live activation component. So think about an exhibition and you're taking digital photos and you might do a full range of the exhibition and put that online, and it could be a 2D or 3D tour. Digital curation is collecting digital artwork and stories for online presentation in some form of audience engagement. And then content resharing is a previously recorded content that is basically being reshared with the live active interactive component. So think about archival materials or things that have been previously recorded. They may even already exist on a YouTube or Vimeo previous performances, and you may just be doing like a rebroadcast of those activities online. So we'll go over a few examples. And everything in this presentation, one, we'll be sending this presentation out, and then these images are hyperlinked to more information on the specific activities that took place with these various organizations or individual artists. So the first image is ROCO, the River Oaks Chamber Orchestra. They did what they called Playing Together Apart and offering hope in a socially distant era. And their musicians performed the Anthem of Hope by Anthony DiLorenzo, which was a 4-minute composition, and they all did it from 39 different locations, and then had a videographer and editor take those all of those videos and edit them together. So that's one example of kind of reimagining programming for the digital space. The middle picture is Chameleon, and it's a multimedia live artwork that explores the ever-evolving ways in which digitality intersects the fugitive realities and shape-shifting demands that Black queer people employ to survive and heal within the contemporary moment. This particular online presentation will include a series of events that include artist talks, performances, online exhibitions. So it's a series of activities. And then the final picture was a simulcast film directed, performed, and shot and edited in real time. So it was a theater production, an immersive musical experience that was both, they had a live audience, and then they also had, it was also live broadcasted online. And so they used the combination of both worlds and made both worlds an integral part of the storytelling. So obviously you can't have a studio audience, but it's just an interesting way in which they use technology if you want to read more about what they did. So the next one is Fusebox Festival, and they basically took a program that already existed and made it virtual. The way they described it is think public access TV meets international block party meets live performance. And they're using a platform to explore what it means to gather together and celebrate adventurous art online. And so they have a series of different events that will take place over the course of the 3 days, and they're planned and timed events. So you know, April 24th at 5 p.m., they're going to do, you know, a Facebook watch party. So it's a curated series of events that will take place online. And then Civic TV is the middle picture. They are a collaborative, curated, nomadic exhibition. And this particular exhibition was in conjunction with the 2020 Photo Fest Biennial. And they actually had a planned opening, but what they did right before everyone was required to quarantine and abide by social distancing rules, and they actually photographed the entire exhibition and put it online. Right now it's more in a 2D format with plans to create a 3D tour, and they've also been giving virtual tours to different groups since they've put everything online. And the showcase was about overlapping cosmologies illustrated by the diverse offerings of 9 Houston-based artists presenting the polyolithic nature of Houston's African diaspora. And then lastly, Alley Theater. They have a recording of their 1984 performance. And so they've put it online, and current ticket holders can access the performance. And then they are also selling tickets to any other individuals who might want to experience this play for the same duration of time they intended the production to take place. And so they've just made it available online. So there are a variety of platforms you can use, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through each one of them, but linked in this slide is an article on Creative Capital that kind of details and provides advice and ways in which you can utilize each platform and what the benefits, the pros and cons are for each one, and what type of audiences you might attract on the various platforms, and cost. So once you get this, you can go directly to Creative Capital, but we'll also be sending out this presentation so you can read through the various ways in which you can consider different platforms for transitioning your work to the digital realm. So if you're a current grantee, or even if you're a future grantee, or even if you haven't received funds from the City of Houston, the cultural events calendar is a great resource for you to access new audiences. But it is also required if you are a current recipient. And it's imperative that your events land on the calendar. It is a promotional tool that we use, an advocacy tool that we use, and we want to help amplify all of the arts and cultural experiences that our sector offers. And so for your events, you can submit, you can go to submit.haatx.com. We also have a tutorial in order to help you learn how to upload events. And then the site that audiences will see is calendar.haatx.com in order to find events. And we'll be taking any experiences that are digitized, you know, in these next few months that we might be socially distancing, which is part of our normal practice, but we'll certainly be resharing and promoting that content. As an award recipient of city support through our grant programs, you have to acknowledge the City of Houston and Houston Arts Alliance. And so we have a logo set that has a City of Houston seal, which is required to be on all of your marketing materials, websites, and other promotional materials. And so you can access it by the hyperlink www.haatx.com/logos. And this is just an example of two. They have a variety of formats. That way you can apply them to, the different collateral that you'll create. And we also have a style guide that'll help you understand how to incorporate them into your marketing materials. In the guidelines, we have a page that outlines everything that is considered an ineligible expense, so things that these funds cannot be utilized for. This is just a quick list. And so regardless if it's this grant program or any other grant program, these rules apply. And so activities taking place outside of the city of Houston limits, travel outside of the city of Houston. We do not grant to K through 12 public, private, or charter schools, colleges, and universities. Any activities receiving funds from other HAA grant programs, including collaborators applying to work on different components of the same project. So if you are working in the collaboration, collectively you can only apply for one grant for that project that you all are participating in together. And then if you're an executive director or an artistic director applying for individual grants, the project that you propose as an individual can have no relationship or any kind of overlap to any of the work that you're doing, that your organization is doing, or that you're doing as an executive director or artistic director. But let creativity happen. If you are a recipient of other grant programs, support for artists and creative individuals, festivals, support for organizations, it doesn't preclude you from applying, but those programs or projects can have no relationship to one another. So we're gonna jump into the review criteria for the Let Creativity Happen Digital Grant Program. So there are 4 primary areas: artistic programming, digital experience, marketing and promotion, and then your budget and timeline. So the artistic programming, we're looking at to understand that you have clear artistic goals, that the vision and process are clearly defined for the program that you're proposing. It's feasible and it has a high artistic merit. So we're asking that you share a detailed description of the overall artistic program. And you should include details such as the artists involved, the artistic mediums, if you aren't already working in the digital realm, or even if you are, like, what are the steps that you're taking in order to transition this work to digital, and the kind of program that you are providing. So whether it's dance, performance, it's a combination, it's multidisciplinary, if it's a series of activities that might include various art forms. Those are the types of details that we want to know. Additionally, because this is a program that we're looking for rapid kind of deployment and execution of these online events, we're asking for specific dates and times in the digital platform that these activities will take place. And then you'll provide like a brief description. This is a Excel sheet that you will download, fill out, and re-upload into the application. And so we're looking for specific information. And this speaks to both your understanding and ability to execute the programs, and helps the panelists assess the feasibility and being able to assess whether or not you have a clear plan from kind of start to finish, and your ability to launch your online event. Then we're asking questions about the digital experience. So the quality and impact of the event's experience for audiences taking part in in the project. So what digital platforms will be used and how? What will be the live and interactive components? How will the public engage with the work or experience online? So are they able to chat with the performers, or a collaborator who's participating in the performance? Will they be able to leave feedback? Are they just viewing? Those are the types of things that we want to know. And then with you taking this project online in the digital realm, are there any plans to extend the life of the project through archiving, putting it on the website, creating a YouTube or Vimeo channel? Just kind of understanding the ways and directions in which you might take the project. So the other criteria is marketing and promotion. So this is all about the intended reach and depth of engagement and community and strategies for wide promotion. So you're going to outline your marketing and promotion plan. What kind of platforms will you use? Talk a little bit about your audience. It'll be helpful to include, if you have a website, your current traffic totals, your social media follower totals, and newsletter subscriber totals. So it's helpful because we do ask for your handles. So if you're like, I'm going to reach 20,000, but I only have like 50 followers, those two things don't add up. So there should be a clear kind of path forward in terms of the feasible amount of audience that you can reach and how you intend to do it. And then because it is online, there is an opportunity to reach a global audience. So what are some of those things that you would, strategies that you would utilize in order to maximize an opportunity to put your work online? And finally, budget and timeline. So just fully want to understand that your ability to execute the program or project in the grant term, which is again May 1st through July 31st. And so you're gonna work out a budget, and we have a budget table, and then also a timeline detailing the steps that you're going to take to launch your digital experience. So that could include, like contracting with your videographer, signing up for a Zoom account, posting the event on Facebook, doing XYZ promotion, whatever those steps are in order to get to your launch. That's what we're looking for. And for you to fully understand what actually has to happen in order for the event to take place. So this is an example budget template. Project income and project expenses is what we're looking for. It is entirely fine if there are no other income sources, and this project will be fully supported by the city funding. But you can consider things like in kind, like your studio, or if you're collaborating with other artists, whatever that is, consider all of those, that time that those people or those places that you'll be utilizing in order to create this work. And the budget does not have to zero out, but this is just an example that we have here and in the guidelines. So we will open it up for questions. And I think the easiest thing to do is the chat box that really worked for us in our other session. And I'll read the question out loud before I answer it. So any questions? So, question, are you able to apply for 2 different projects under both deadlines? Yes, but you can only apply once to each deadline. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, oh, so what if the date of the project is not set in stone? Um, so again, the panelists are going to be assessing feasibility, and you do have a short timeline in order to get the project launched and the experience out in the public realm. And so while you might not have a set date, I would at least speak to a projected date for the project, because we're looking specifically for activities to take place in a very specific and short time frame. And then includes the 1,000 Artist Relief Fund. So those two things are entirely separate. I spoke about them because this was a great opportunity for anyone who may not have received those notifications or know how to find those resources for them to be able to access that information. But these are completely two different grant programs. And the Artist Relief Fund is operated independent of the Let Creativity Happen Digital, and they're also different funding sources. And one doesn't impact or have any sort of relationship or implication to the other. In my understanding, we have to do all of our own marketing and promotion. So yes, you will need to do your own marketing and promotion. But one of the things we want to do is make sure that we're amplifying these arts and cultural experiences that are taking place online. We do that through the submission of your event on the arts and cultural calendar. And we promote the events on a weekly basis. But you should be doing some form of marketing and promotion on your own. So this is a long question, but I'll go ahead and read it. I'm a musician working with a band, and we have done research into city art funding for videos that may be presented for the local music community in Houston. I feel like this particular grant program might not be in the appropriate realm for us. What grant programs, if any, might be better suited for individuals in our position? So one, I'd advise that you set up an appointment with one of our grants team members, and we can talk more extensively about the other grant programs that we offer. And you can do that through our support desk. One of the team members will put a link in the chat box, and we can set up time to talk to you about all of our other grant programs. But this is one of our multiple deadline grant programs, whereas all of our other grant programs that we offer are on an annual basis. So next question, would it be possible as a project idea to rebroadcast a previously funded HAA Independent Artist Grant project, as long as it wasn't funded this year and you're not a 2020 grant recipient? You can reimagine something that has been previously funded in previous granting years. can graduate students apply? So we, anyone who meets the eligibility criteria can apply. So if you're 18 or older, you live within the city of Houston limits, you can apply. We will be sending, the recording will be available on our website, and we will be sending this presentation out to everybody. It'll probably be early next week when we get it out. You can, any applicant can pay themselves for the work that they are completing. So you can include a fee to self in your project proposal. So annual grant programs aren't suspended. They just, we haven't launched them for the year. I'd advise signing up for a newsletter in addition to, arranging a meeting to understand eligibility and what grant programs might be the best fit for your projects. Because everything is announced through our online newsletter. And then obviously just checking on our website for updates on new opportunities. So this is the team and all of our social media links or handles and website to both ours and the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. Again, this presentation will be provided to you early next week. I hope everyone, remains safe and healthy and well. Again, check out those resources. I'm ready.haatx.com. Make sure that you're applying to the various relief funds that are available to you all, and unemployment and other public assistance opportunities. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you.